All right, it is 10:16 and I'm looking at SIRC. I really hesitated on taking a short when it was in the 515s, and then when I tried to take a short, there was like a little pop-up telling me that I have to agree to the percent interest for shorting and everything, and then that kind of just threw me off because it downtraded more and I wasn't able to get filled. But I want to see if this head and shoulders can play out. The shoulder, the head, and the shoulder. I was seeing that it could do a potential head and shoulders as early as here, thinking that it might have a dip under VWAP, it might make a shoulder, and then it might eventually break under VWAP like it's doing here, and ideally it breaks around 50 cent level, and then this can be like a really profitable short position. I did have a few trades long. At first, I was interested in buying the breakout at 931, which was right here when it looked like it was going to get to the 50 cent level, and I wasn't able to get filled right at yeah, right at 932, just under it actually. Right here was when I was trying to get interested in buying it right here, and I didn't get filled. It got to 51. I didn't uptrend that much more. It did do a dip towards VWAP. I did hesitate on this one because, I mean, this thing just basically blew up a bunch of short sellers. I'm going to guess they got short, thinking it's going to be topping, not able to break above 45, and then we open on the gap up and it's well above 45, and it has a morning spike on top of that. So I think this thing did a really good job squeezing a bunch of short sellers for that reason. And I did hesitate on this dip towards VWAP because I thought, this could be where it just starts to ultimately panic, and it didn't. It made an uptrend, and I did have a first trade here, and this one did not work out. It was a scratch at 947. I did buy 500 shares at 525, and that was because of the fact that I was thinking that it could do a head and shoulders, a shoulder to head, but I thought maybe this is going to be like a little fake out where it starts to uptrend and downtrends and lures in a bunch of shorts, and then it starts to uptrend right here. Then I thought it could try to break the day high, and then that would squeeze a lot of shorts who thought maybe this was going to be the top. And it did not do it. As you can see, it started the downtrend, and I got out at 950 at 52.38. So that was right here. 52.38. I got out right here like a G before it had a big red candle because it just wasn't looking good anymore. The price action for what I thought it could do, and that again, it would, look like a fake head of a head and shoulders and then break and maybe still make the head, but not exactly make this the very top. And that's the same idea that I had with the next buy. I did miss out on this second dip towards VWAP, and this one did work out. But this one was kind of weird the way it traded. This one was a lot cleaner. You can see the candles are much wider. I did buy 500 shares at 5125 at 10 o'clock, and that was right here with the same idea, thinking that, it looks like it's trying to make the shoulder right here, but it might fake out and then break past the top of this potential shoulder and then make a shoulder at a higher level, or maybe even try to get near the day highs and break that level. So that's why I did buy at 10 o'clock at 5125. And this one was kind of nerve-wracking to hold through because it's, never something 100% possible that it will just not just maybe uptrend a little and then it sells off like it is right here, making a slightly higher shoulder, or maybe it's going to break the highs. It just kind of felt uneasy holding through it, and I did get out rather quickly. The next minute, it seems like at 5178, and that was at 10:01. So I got out right here is around the level where I got out right here at 10:01, and I was in around right here. So I'm barely up on the day. Again, this one didn't work out. This was a tiny scratch. I barely sold for less than what I bought it for. And then this one did work out a little, but it wasn't like a huge setup. It didn't do anything crazy. I want to see if this thing can be able to maybe hold the 50 cent level. And then if we have like another uptrend, but it doesn't get above 52, maybe like a lower high from here. So here's one high and here's a lower high. And then we hold this level uptrends, and then we have another lower high. Maybe that could be something I could be a part of and consider shorting, but it could also be a long setup if it maybe does something like where it makes a symmetrical triangle, as you can see right there, and then this end could be the other side, and then it's going to break out of one range or maybe break under the bottom range, and then that could be its own setup. So that's something I'll continue to be looking at. It could also just downtrend here and break 50 cents and then, have like a big sell off, especially because again, it's on the gap up. But this also looks like a bull flag. So because I'm not extremely sure on what it could possibly do, I'll just continue to watch it. If I was short here, I might be interested in cutting my position if it looks like it's going to get above VWAP. So that would have been my idea with that. I'll make an update later. There hasn't been anything else that I've been looking at. I might be missing out on other setups right now. Some of those trend lines were from other days. It's not something I have that I'm using right now. I'll make an update later as to what this one does. All right, it is 10:40 and we did have the uptrend. There was actually a point where I could have bought at 51, but I also hesitated here. This stock is just scary, but I'm learning a lot from it. So ideally in the future, maybe with this one or another stock, I can be able to trade that much better. There was a big bidder that started to show up around here as it was slowly uptrending and trying to regain itself after being under VWAP. I could have been in at 51, but I did get in a bit later. I got in at 5195. That was at 1034 when it was looking like it was going to break this little range here and get above 52. And then if we break 52, the high is 529. It might get to 529. Short sellers are getting squeezed, and then we get into 53s, 54s maybe, and it can continue the uptrend. And it didn't really happen. Again, I did buy at 1034 right here at this 51.95 level, but if I didn't hesitate, I could have been in at 51. And then it did break past the level. It looked like it was going to break past it. Of course, it isn't like 100% sure, but it looked like there was a high chance it was going to break 52. But the way it broke out of 52 just looked all weird. There was a lot of volume, so obviously some short sellers might have gotten squeezed, or maybe some short sellers just got in their position. They were just sitting there at the ask, and now they got filled, and it didn't break the day high, which is great for them if that's the case. And I did sell a portion, 100 of my 500 shares at 52.2, and that was at 1036, which was this candle right here. I did sell some at 52.2, so right around here. But then it just started to look all weird. I didn't like the price action anymore, and I got out the last amount, 400 shares at 1037, and that was at 526. So it was near the top. I got out right here, 5263. It's still holding 52, and this is the kind of thing where if it's able to uptrend some more, it's because there's a lot of hidden buyers at 52 holding the price action, and then it can try to break the day high later. And if that happens, that could be super profitable, and I might even consider trading that. That's all I have for right now. I would have ideally have been getting out when that big bidder showed up, and I would have gotten out at 51, and then maybe a short at 518. I'd be down maybe, I don't know, like 13 bucks because of commissions, but I think that would have been a good attempt. The more it continues to do stuff like this, the less interested I am in shorting it because I do have to pay commissions to short, and the more I'll just stick to considering the long setups. All right, it is 12:36 and I'm gonna make an update. I am looking at EMGE for like an 11 a.m. reversal. It's been trading super slowly, and I think the main issue is that there's a 500k seller at 18.8, and I think the idea for me, if I were to be in this setup, is that if we break this 187 level, we get to the 188, and then people are taking out the 188 level, and it looks like it's going to disappear, and we're going to transition to the 19s. I'll try to be in at 188. That's my idea there. And I'm trying really hard now at this point, especially after I took an L recently with SIRC. I need to really find out what is the worst case scenario, and then, not have it so far away from where I'm trading that, when I have a setup that doesn't work out, I'm not able to be as profitable on my other setups to make the difference because I was trading with such a wide risk level. So I'm going to be watching this on the other screen if I can move it, which is gonna be there. I had a trade with SIRC, and this one did not work out, unfortunately. I am gonna be down on this one, 27 bucks because of $13 in commissions, and then the rest was just around $13, and just the fact that it didn't work out, and I got in at a not so ideal price, but I think I learned from it. And the idea was that the chart got kind of destroyed, but I might still have a screenshot of when I was still looking at it. I think I do. Yeah, I do. Okay. So I did short this one ultimately because it looked like it was going to break under VWAP. But I think in the future, I might consider not trying to short something when it looks like it's about to break down a level. But I might try to short when it's looking like it's topping. The other trade that I took that worked out pretty nicely, I shorted when it looked like it was topping price action. And this wasn't the case here. I did short 1,000 shares at 11.28, and that was at 51.22. So that was at again 11.28, which was right here when it looked like it was going to try to not just be under VWAP and break under it, but also break under the 50 cents level. But it appeared later that we did start to see 50 cents at the bid, but there were like a whole bunch of them and they had a lot of size, so it looked like it wasn't going to do it unless there was a lot of momentum to push it down. And I thought there could have been a possibility because the last time it broke under VWAP right here, you can see there was a whole bunch of volume that just wiped it out, but it didn't do much more uptrended later. So when it kind of got under VWAP again, it looks like there was that idea where it looks like it could potentially break under VWAP, stay below it, and then we can break the 50s. But it wasn't able to do it. And I did consider getting out of the trade if it looks like it's going to break the day high. And that was the case at 11.43. I did get out at 5.26. So right here I got out at 5.26. Right around right here is when I got out. Here's my screenshot that I took. So I essentially shorted right around right here when it looked like it was going to break under VWAP and do all of that. And then I got out when it looked like it was going to break the day high, and I was out at 526. And then I did long the setup for the breakout. I did buy 800 shares at 11.45, and that was right here when it looks like it was going to do it and break, the day high, and maybe it'd be like a big short squeeze where a bunch of shorts are going to be having to buy out their position. And I did get in, but it didn't uptrend that much more. I did sell in the highs around the 53s, but it didn't do much more after I got in at this 52.89 level. So I think essentially with this one, it's kind of risky, but this thing has been pretty profitable buying the dips, and then considering the few short positions that were possible when it's looking like it's topping. Because every time I've tried to buy like a breakout, right, or like this one right here when it kind of broke past the shoulder, it's never really that profitable. It doesn't really uptrend that much. It's always on the dip that this thing works a lot nicely. And the problem is of course you're buying it on a dip, but then this is the one that actually causes a big panic in the downtrends. But now I'm actually wondering if this thing is going to even have like a big red day, because I've been looking at this chart more, and you see it has a decent amount of volume and it's uptrending and all, but it's not that much different from what it's been doing normally. So this might be all just a manipulated, move towards the upside, and they're trying to make it maybe perhaps look like something that doesn't trade with a very high flow, but like a lower flow stock. But because this thing is such a high flow, they're trying to make it move around in certain ways that could easily look like a certain pattern, but then they keep uptrending it because there's a lot more volume, there's a lot of shares available. So that looks like the potential for this one, and I'm gonna be less interested in shorting it, especially because if I short again, I'm gonna hit the PDT thing, so I won't be able to short for like 3 or 5 business days. So I won't, want to be able to short in the future. And then, if it really happens, I won't be able to short, or if some other stock offers an opportunity. So, yeah, that's pretty much the case with that. It's gonna suck this day, and I could have been a lot more profitable, or at least I wouldn't have lost that much today if I actually traded my positions here accordingly to a $40 risk level. Like for example, this one, I needed to have had 1,000 shares, right? And that would have been a little helpful. So I definitely need to keep working on that, and I think I'm going to continue to watch this, but I kind of lost the motivation to short. And yeah, that's a good job to the promoters or market makers or whatever. But if it wasn't for commissions, I wouldn't have lost that much, and I would be just down like $8 on a day. So yeah, I'll make an update later as to what SIRC does. This is the crappy time. You know, like it's easy making these videos when I'm having a nice green day and everything. This one's gonna suck a little more because I'm gonna be down more than usual. But I think it was a good attempt and a good lesson learned with this stock, and I can try to be better in the next setup. Alright, it is 6:59 p.m. and I'm here to call it off. Overall, I'm going to be down on the day $14.37, which actually is really not that bad. I would have had a profitable $12 day if I didn't trade that SIRC short setup. And I think the idea with that is that, in particular with SIRC, it's a lot better to just buy during dips and then to try to short during tops, and to not necessarily short at a bottom or to try to buy at a breakout point, because it doesn't seem to offer that much of an opportunity. But it was a very good learning lesson, and I probably will stay away from shorting SIRC because I think it's a very manipulated run up, especially because it's not like the volume is so much more than what it has been before. It's pretty consistent. So I think this is all pretty engineered, and it's a very nice looking thing. I will be interested in seeing what this thing can do tomorrow, and it might even have another bigger green day. This can totally do that kind of thing. I will be continuously watching this, and I learned a lot from it. And I had one more trade with EMGE. This is the only trade I had that wasn't SIRC today, and this one did not really work out that much, but I thought it could have a potential. And EMGE was essentially something that had this dip, right? Had a very considerable drop, and then it started to trade back and forth and hold above this 17.5 level for the most part. And I did a buy with an interest in it, ideally making a move towards VWAP and maybe even above it. It could try to do something like that tomorrow. It could try to have a reversal day, but it didn't happen today, at least as nicely as I would have liked it to. At 1:30, I did buy 15,000 shares at 18.5, so that was right around here is when I bought, and this was at 18.5, and I got in because it looked like it was going to really break 18.5 right then and there, but no, there were some very big hidden sellers at 18.5, and then there was another one at 18.8, which eventually disappeared, and I did save some screenshots to just show exactly how dry this stock was. I think this is when I got out of my position. Yeah, this is when I got out of my position. Let me see what this screenshot here is. This is, yeah, this is essentially how slow this thing was trading. This was me right here. This 4,000 and this 10,000 share buy at 18.5. And as you can see, that was at, 132. There was more price action, 35, 39. Very dry price action for it to, be just about 14 minutes later, and all of the prints are still in the same place right here. They're not disappearing because there's not much price action. But I traded this one much better than I did before, and I did hold on to this one, and I was only going to cut the setup if it was going to break the 18 level and get to the day low, the 17.5 level. And I did sell ultimately at 2 o'clock, and that was at 18.8. I sold right here. And why did I sell at 18.8? Because a big 300K seller showed up at the ask, and it was super bad for the setup. I think it might have been this one right here. Yeah. You see this big seller that showed up at the ask? This is why I got out. And it ended up being a top. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I would have had a pretty nice day if it wasn't for that short setup, but I think I learned from it and I won't do it anytime soon. It might be a super nice downtrend eventually, but I'm probably not going to consider shorting it because I just feel a bit cheap, and I hate, trading with Schwab because they do charge a commission. If it wasn't for the commissions, I would have been actually break even or maybe slightly up on the day. So yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of good lessons. Good job, SIRC promoters, market makers, or maybe it's just regular price action. I'm sure a year from now, this thing is going to be back under 30 cents unless they do a reverse split and they make it much higher. That's all I have for today.